Hello and welcome to this extra bit of content from Pulp Kitchen. Today, we're going to be talking about Harry Potter, more specifically about how I have finally gone and watched all of the Harry Potter films. Because if you didn't know, until this point, I had only seen like three when I was a kid.
One, two, three.
Yeah, one, two, three, and I've never really gone past it. So,
Which for a person of our age is quite rare.
It's quite rare.
We had, I didn't really have a choice. Harry Potter was out when I was the perfect age.
Yeah.
I'm glad it got me.
Yeah, I feel quite rare as a person who's now primarily engaged with them through the films. And that's why I wanted to share my thoughts, because I wanted to be like, as a pure film watcher,
Yes.
this is how they work and don't work as films.
And I'm a huge fan. I've got my first edition Harry Potter books on the shelf behind you. You know me from my early rants on the failure of the Fantastic Beasts movies.
God,
my
remember them?
impassioned slating of what happened to those films. But it's very close. It's one of a dearly beloved stories to me. Shame about J.K. Rowling, but we move on nonetheless.
Yes, and they've been a huge sort of cultural blind spot, and now it's autumn. Anna said to me, we should really watch the Harry Potters again. I said, you know what? I'd love to revisit 1, 2, and 3, and I'd love to dive into 4 and beyond and see what happens there.
I'm sorry, just in which I won't spoil your thoughts, but it was interesting as George was watching them over the course of a couple of weeks to be like, oh, I've now done this, and now I'm commenting on this. I could see a sort of bubbling excitement as you were getting into them.
Although I knew certain major plot things about certain major characters, I didn't obviously know the context of how certain things happened. But also, I said this to James before I started, I was like, I don't know what the Order of the Phoenix is.
Yeah, he was like, what's a Horcrux?
What's a
Half-Blood Prince?
I don't know. No, exactly.
Yeah.
So I just thought it'd be a little bit of fun to relay my thoughts on each one now that I've gone and watched them. So first of all, Philosopher's Stone, probably my least favorite.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
I like it from a purely nostalgic point of view, but now I am an adult. I'm like, there's really not a lot for me to do here.
Yeah.
I love the twinkly charm of Hogwarts.
Yeah.
It will be forever savoured for that.
Yeah.
But, it's kind of... It's the pilot episode.
It has a real burden, that movie, of needing to intro you to a very deep and complicated world. And I do think, actually, you've got to hold it up to Chris Columbus for those first 2 films of going, I've got all these kids. I've got this huge world. I've got a John Williams score. I've got to intro so much detail here because we're experiencing the world through Harry for the first time. I think there's a wonderful twinkly magic to that first one. It's one of the coziest ones.
Yes. 1 and 2 in particular. And I when I think of it, I get all the images of the candles floating in the hall and and it's not too plotty and heavy like the later ones become. This is just kind of fun.
I was just going to say the first one is the scariest by far.
More than 3 with the Dementors.
3 on the edge. I think
What's scary about the first
Voldemort in the Forbidden Forest when he's feasting on the unicorn blood is terrifying. And I didn't like the shot of Voldemort walking into Godric's Hollow when Hagrid first tells him about Voldemort. I hated that. I'm still scared. Sorry.
But my least favorite, just like I felt like I was probably the least compelled by it.
It's the child movie.
Yeah. Then you return for number 2, Chamber of Secrets. Liked it more. I liked Chamber of Secrets. I really liked the kind of murder mystery kind of plot structure.
That's what I like about it.
It's like a detective.
Pipes.
Yeah.
The water.
And every single person's been struck. But what are they? Oh, they saw it through the reflection. So I really like that. The scene with the spiders in the forest, that's terrifying.
Why can't we follow the butterflies? God bless Rupert Grint's breaking voice in that movie.
Harry. And the stuff with the flying car is so fun. And the spider scene is terrifying and like creepy crawly. And I liked it's actually what I realized later on when I go to the later films, that obviously the Chamber of Secrets is actually quite fundamental to the later story. It's quite intrinsic, and obviously you return to it in a later film. And all the stuff with Tom Riddle and the Salazar Slytherin is really interesting. And I kind of got sucked in. I enjoyed that.
The blood writing on the wall, her skeleton will lie in the chamber forever. So dark. Losing Hermione, the best one of them, like losing her, I think is just great.
And when they were like, it's Ginny Weasley's been taking the Chamber of Secrets, I was like,
Also, like, Harry goes to Hogwarts first year, absolutely loves it, blows his whole little world open. Can't wait to go next year. Dobby's like, you can't go. Yeah. There is a plot to harm you, and I'm not going to let you go. Great opening for a film. Yeah. The whole stumbling into Hogwarts because they missed the train, fantastic.
And the whole balance of, like, on the one hand, you have Lucius Malfoy introduced, brilliantly played by Jason Isaacs.
Just play nicely.
Chewing the scenery. Yes. Lucius. And then on the other hand, you've got Kenneth Branagh as Gilderoy Lockhart, just having a great time. I think a very sort of Jonathan Bailey could play that character in the series, maybe.
Yeah.
I enjoyed it.
You were seen by no more than 7 muggles. Great. He has one scene in the movie, but absolutely kills it.
It's great. And then on to number 3, which is like a lot of people's favorites, but I still love it because it's tone shift, director shift.
The anatomy of the castle, the whole topography of it, the visual language, the font, the Marauders map, it all sort of bleeds from this new artistic direction.
Yeah, and it's like they said, okay, these kids are older now. They're teenagers. Let's change the mood. And it really feels like there is some sort of horror movie language, visual language being used.
Very
the
gothic.
scene with the train and the Dementors. I've always loved that scene with the hand reaching round.
It really embraces the wonkiness and the sort of like italicized wizarding world in that scene. Like when you're seeing like the posters of Sirius Black and Hogsmeade, like all of that visual language, which they always had in the castle, but you really feel like it bled through.
Like Robert Eggers' Nosferatu.
Very much so. It's gothic. It's much more gothic. And then the films, they grade darker. All of them get darker and darker as like the hope and the wonder is lost from it.
And I've always liked David Thewlis as Lupin and Gary Oldman as Sirius Black. Just so much fun. And
spoilers for Harry Potter, by the way.
Oh yeah, but obviously,
just
and that's it. And then I love the Marauders map and the sheer gothicness of it. I really, and the time turner and all the time heist stuff is great. And do you know what? There's 2 bits in the third one that I really appreciated, which is the first is the scene of Harry flying on the hippogriff and with Buckbeak. Yeah. And the reason I really love that is because actually until that point, from a film point of view, I'd yet to see Harry having a good time at Hogwarts. And I was like, this is him actually just enjoying his youth as
Quidditch, he had a pretty good time.
Yeah, but he's usually quite stressed.
He is quite stressed.
Like trying to get the snitch and this thing going around, people are crashing through things. Yeah. And in that scene, I was like, he's just enjoying the joy of being alive and being a teenager, which I really liked. And also there's the scene, which doesn't need to be in it, but it's such a good contextual scene of in the room, it's him, Seamus, Dean Thomas, Ron, and the
beans,
the lion noise and the animals, and it's just that's it. It's just for them to have fun.
The lovely zoom out the window,
and like I love that. It's like you're just giving us a window into him as a teenager, as a person, as an actual youth. And I think that's so important. It's not flashy, it's just that scene. And then you zoom out and then you see the Dementors outside.
Yes.
It's just a great Stitch scene.
I love the Defense Against the Dark Arts lesson when Lupin shows how great of a teacher he is, but also the concept of a boggart to really learn about characters by showing you their deepest fear. Yeah. I think it's a great way to learn about all of your characters. In the books, obviously, you hear about all of the class in so many ways, but I just think that's brilliant.
I also think this is why it's worth pointing out, like, the sort of distinction then between the books and the films, because me as a film watcher, not a book reader, Anna said to me, "You do realise that the Marauders map, the Marauders Padfoot prongs, or that is Harry's dad," and I was like, "Oh no, that's not clear to me. That's never stated." And by the way, my main overall take is that like the story of Harry Potter, the world of Harry Potter is great and amazing, and I think the films on the whole are a pretty good execution at those, but will be done differently now.
And then when Snape sees, again, he has one scene every film where he sees Lupin in the dark and he's like, "Professor Lupin out for a walk in the moonlight." Just brilliant.
That's also what I realised is Snape's not really in it that much. No. He's around.
He's in the first one a lot because they think they mistake him for the person who's trying to steal the stone. But yeah, he really in the films has one scene.
And then because he's being saved for the final one, and McGonagall as well. I thought that she was going to have a bigger role, but she's just sort of around.
No,
she does the cat thing twice. That never comes back.
No,
she's an animagus.
She's an animagus.
And then
which we learn about. Turn to page 394.
And I'd get Anna to fill me in on all the backstory from the books, and I'd be like, "Oh my god, that's even more amazing." And then number 4.
Oh, sorry, before you go into number 3, I love the way that you're teased by thinking that Lupin and Sirius are in cahoots together. Yeah. And seeing the 3 of them who are old school mates or like old school pals interact again. It's like, oh, for God's sake, Snivelus and Gary Oldman coming in, and isn't he just brilliant as Sirius? It's the moment Danny Radcliffe was like, shit, I want to be an actor. I'm working with Gary Oldman. Just brilliant.
In the
4th.
Yes, in the 4th, thank you. I liked the 4th again.
So I find the 4th the most condensed, suffers the most from having to be adapted into a film of all of them, because it should have been the 7th, but they split 7 into 2 films. So it's just a big book. There's so much that happens in it. I think if you read it, maybe not to like book you, but like you would feel that, because they skip the Quidditch World Cup. The beginning, out. Triwizard Tournament, the terrorist attack. All of it.
Yeah.
Each task has to happen, and they have to bring Voldemort back. Like, there's a lot that has to happen in that 2-hour, 40-minute movie. Especially in the beginning, we're rushing. You got Scar Hurts, go and hit the thing, and it's like, fucking hell. This is like 6 chapters of the book you've just blitzed past.
I think actually that's the point. Like, I realized as a viewer, I was like, the ingredients you're giving me in this 4th one are great, but I want more than just the little dusting you're giving me. So like, when the Death Eaters arrive, I'm like, oh, what's the Death Eater? I'll move on.
Them turning up to the Quidditch World Cup in the book is a really great description of how wizards can occupy the same space as a Muggle part of the world, because it's like a festival they're all arriving to, and there are loads of conversations and like the way in which the Ministry is managing this huge wizarding event. I'm like, oh, that's really good context for how the world sits next to each other. But
and I really liked the whole plot with Moody and Barty Crouch Jr. And like, I think I'm like, these ingredients are good. I'd love to get them deeper in the film. So again, like I said, the films are giving it a good go, as good as they can. But ultimately, the books are going to sort of flesh that out more. I said to you off air that like, Harry discovers the corpse of Barty Crouch in the woods, which I know is massive in the books, but I'm like, that's the first dead body he's ever seen. Technically, I know Quirrell disappeared into dust. Really, it's a human corpse, and he's like, fine. He's not shaken, not stirred. He's just like, oh, I just
follows him. You know,
he's used to it by now. Also, the thing that I really kept thinking about, which I love the whole Voldemort thing in the graveyard is great.
Truly
nightmarish, and a great loss of innocence with the killing of Cedric. And I also didn't know Clemence Posey was in this as well.
Also, the music that they play, the fanfare when they set off into the maze, and when they arrive, that same fanfare is playing. Dun, 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 dun. And then when Amos Diggory is like, "That's my boy,
it's sad.
My boy," and Harry's in shock, and he's like, "Voldemort's back. He's back."
And just Michael Caine,
heartbreaking. He really sort of
also Gambon. We talked about this. Gambon is sounding his most Irish in the 4th one. Harry Potter. Did you put your name on the goblet of fire?
Put the name on the goblet of fire.
But
very controversial delivery, because in the 4th one, Dumbledore is described as being very calm. Harry, did you put your name? And Michael Gambon kind of rushes into it.
It's a movie.
I think it's for time.
The thing that I found really funny in a way was that the graveyard scene happens at the end.
Yeah.
And the Death Eaters reveal themselves, and Lucius Malfoy is there, right? And Harry, at the end of 4 and at the beginning of 5, I'm like, has he not said to anyone at some point, by the way, you know Draco Malfoy, one of your pupils, his dad, he was also there. So at the beginning of the 5th one, where he's like walking through the Ministry and he sees Lucius Malfoy, I'm like, has he not said, oh, he was there?
I think it's one of those just like horrible hypocrisies where it's like, you know, Trump lied. It's like everyone knows, but it's like, well, what are you going to do?
It's almost like people are like, Lucius Malfoy looks like a villain, sounds like a villain. Yeah, he's a villain.
Things about killing,
but I liked what, and actually then into the 5th one, I think this was probably my favorite actually, because it really felt like
on 5,
it was like a gear change in a way. It felt a bit like the Avengers Assemble of the Avengers Infinity War rather of the Harry Potter franchise, because it's then that you're bringing back characters you've met from previous ones. You know, when he turns up at the house at the beginning and it's Sirius, Lupin, you're meeting all these other characters as well. I was like, oh, I'm really enjoying this world expanding. There's a sense of urgency, and I just enjoyed the kind of chase and plot of 5. And Dolores Umbridge with help me, actor
Imelda Staunton.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I think she's my favorite performance in all of the films.
She's great.
She just gets that character right. Nasty and wickedly funny, that you enjoy watching her, but she's awful at the same time.
5 is really like a sort of season 2 break, where it's like, we've brought you in this villain, and it's like the Order of the Phoenix are back, and it's like, you know, and Sirius is having conversations with Snape and with Lupin, and it's like, this is the world we live in now. We have this horrible group of magical terrorists, and like, this is what happened last time, this is the consequences, this is what's going to happen. You don't have Harry and Voldemort fight necessarily, but they have to like establish who this new Voldemort is, what he wants, what he's going to do. I love the bringing in the politics of the magical world and the Ministry. The whole scene with Dumbledore and Voldemort there, I think, is just brilliant. The fact that the politicians are in denial. Love that. In a lot of ways, I maybe didn't love the fifth film when I was younger because I was like, Harry is so emo and depressed and he's shutting out his friends. But once you learn that that's part of what he needs to understand, that his unique magic power is his ability to love and to be close to his friends, and the way that comes to the end, I think reading the book, I found it it's the biggest book, and it's a lot of Harry moping around being a bit teenagey.
So interesting for me as a film watcher, I was like, it's actually one of the films that has the most agency from Harry, because he gathers them in the room of requirement and says, we need to arm ourselves and prepare ourselves. And I was like, this is the first time I really feel like I've seen Harry be a leader. He's been a very reactive presence a lot of the time. Hermione's the one with all the skill.
And the logic suggests that Harry was so good and natural as a teacher of defense against the dark arts that at the end of the series, he would go on to become the professor for defense against the dark arts. And he doesn't do that, which I always thought was a huge miss. Because it's a thing that gets replaced every year. You go, and Harry would become
There's I love the scene, the confrontation between Dumbledore and Voldemort with this sort of lightsaber fight in the Ministry at the end. You know,
it's fantastic.
It's wonderful.
The glass and the
shattering
fire and the snakes and all of that.
Also, again, as a film viewer, something that stood out to me that Anna had to pause it and be like, this is what the films don't explain. But because I'm trying to be quite an attentive viewer. And again, it's one of the things that just the films try their best at, but they can't succeed in. So I'm watching the fifth one and they're in the Ministry and I'm like, that's Percy Weasley over there. And Anna's like, And I'm like, is he in this? And he's in the movie. There's a bit when he front and center has grabbed Harry and Hermione like by the collars, ready to take them back to the Ministry. But he has no lines. And I was just thinking, is no character at some point just going to go, oh, that's my brother Percy there. He now does this. And like Anna explained that obviously it's very different in the books.
In the fourth one, he goes to work at the Ministry.
But as a film viewer, it pulls you out because I'm thinking, why is no one talking about
There's a lot of those.
There's a lot of those. Again in the seventh one.
Implied knowledge type
Implied,
things.
this is the thing. So the films, and I do agree, I'm the minority. Like having not
big minority,
having not read the films, but I'm trying to come of it from a film point of view, and then really, to be honest, 5, 6, and 7 kind of merge into one in my mind because you have a consistent director with David Yates. The tone becomes quite consistent and dark, and I enjoyed them all very much. So I liked, I didn't the kind of propulsive momentum of the chase for against Voldemort is I enjoyed, and actually. I was really surprised how little Voldemort is used. He's in the end of 5. He's not in 6 at all.
No.
And then he's in...
Which I think it's good to rest it a bit.
You've teased him in 4.
You're going to have him be quite big. It's the same way they rest him in 3 because 4 he comes back. But just on like the way they blur a little bit, which I think benefit and detriment because 3 changes the visual language, but I'd say more so from 5, they feel like the same, they're cut from the same cloth, same director, but like they don't mix up the visual, they don't change the style, the cinematography feels true to all of them. So I understand why that becomes that way. But I also think they kind of had to sort of carry it, to sort of like land the plane there.
And I think kind of just sort of skipping forward to the end is that my main takeaway is that I watched these particularly 5, 6, 7, 8 over the course of like a weekend, like one night each.
Great weekend.
And I really, really enjoyed it. But my main takeaway is that I love these films. They were fun. I love the story. This makes total sense to be a series. Because that's how I was consuming it, and that's the momentum it has. And all the questions that I have, which is about how the film, through necessity of its runtime, can't cover, it makes total sense to me now that these would be a series. And I'm so open and happy and okay with that. I'm not protective of these films. I actually respect these films for doing the best in the era in which they were made to capture this story. And I really was quite I don't really have a lot of faults with the film. That other people I really didn't enjoy picking it apart. The final movie, I love the payoff with the Battle of Hogwarts. I really enjoyed that. Do you know what? Battle of Hogwarts, in a way, didn't pull its punches, which I'm glad it didn't pull its punches, but Game of Thrones' final big battle, not to spoil it, I'm not talking dancing, but more. I felt there was more shocking deaths in the Battle of Hogwarts and more consequences than there were.
But sorry, with Game of Thrones, totally. And even the stuff, again, not spoiling, later on in that final season with battles and things.
In Game of Thrones.
In Game of Thrones, like it doesn't hit home. I think, like the way it's written, there are huge consequences to having that fight at Hogwarts. I love that it all got brought to Hogwarts.
Yes.
All the stuff to do with Voldemort doing the voiceover and he goes, Harry Potter, now I speak only to you. Yeah.
Ralph Fiennes doing.
Oh, just killing it. Nagini, time to feed.
And despite me saying that there are limitations, obviously, in necessarily what the films can do, when the Snape twist happens, that really was a twist for me.
Yeah.
Because I was waiting, I've been thinking, why is Snape doing this? And then there's the moment where Snape gets killed by Nagini.
Yeah.
And in that moment, I was like, oh, he was just bad. Like, that's it. It's him out of it. And then you have the tears and the pensive.
Take it.
And I was like, oh, and that really opened up the whole series for me. And then that's why I kind of look forward to watching the series when it comes out and knowing what I know now.
Yeah.
And in a way, I also really liked the reveal about the Horcrux and Harry because it made me, unless I've misunderstood this, but I was like, it's not just that it's not a typical hero's journey where you're the center of the universe and you're the most powerful person ever. It's like, you're a good wizard, you're all right, but you were here for a specific reason because you had a bit of bit of him in you. And I like that. It's like, oh, it's not about him. He still has room to actually self-actualize and become his own hero. Yes, you're not Luke Skywalker. You're not Superman. You're not born with immense power.
Yeah. Also, something like he could have chosen to have not behaved in the right way because that darkness lived inside him. The Snape thing is so brilliant because reading and watching the films growing up, I read those first few books as a child and they were written from a child's perspective. Your understanding of grown-up relationships is that of how a child's understanding. Your understanding of who Dumbledore, Snape, professors is black and white. People are either good or bad. And I spent my entire childhood convinced that Snape would do exactly what he did in the sixth one, which was betray, despite all the years of me warning everyone as Harry that Snape was no good, that he would, and despite Dumbledore telling everyone we should trust Snape, that moment when Snape does tell Harry to stand down and kills Dumbledore, Harry's father figure, you felt reading that, you were so betrayed and angry because you felt like you'd been screaming that your entire life reading the books. And there's this moment which isn't in the books when Harry says like, fight me, you coward. And he tries to use his own spell and Snape stands over him. You have so much hate for Snape and you really do believe that he has betrayed you and everyone in the ministry. And then you realize, like, as these books grow up, all the understanding of all of the characters becomes more complicated. You realize these people aren't perfect. You realize James Potter was a bully and an arsehole, and he probably made Snape in a lot of ways who he was. And he had every right to despise famous Harry Potter, who now walks into his classroom. And then when you realize there's so much more to it, you feel this sense of guilt for having hated this character for so long, who actually was trying to protect you. And that's kind of the genius of, like, the books and the films having taken place over my lifetime in such a long time. And I grew up understanding grown-up relationships, father figures, parents, uncles, all so differently. And that's why it was so powerful to have that be redeemed. And you go, oh, I was so angry at the end of the sixth one because Snape betrayed me. Now I have such a different understanding. It's just a great coming-of-age change of a character. Yeah. And it's perfect. I love it. Absolutely love it. And the music score, it's called Dumbledore's Farewell, when it's always, and he goes through the time, and it's this music score. They use it at the same time when Dumbledore dies and when they reveal the truth in the pensive of Snape and Dumbledore's interactions. It's great.
I really enjoyed as well, the consistency. I mean, obviously this would happen, but actually just across 10 years of making 8 movies, like, I do like that in the Battle of Hogwarts, Miriam Margolyes turns back up as Professor Sprout.
Yeah.
And Flitwick, who they changed, don't they? It's still Warwick Davis, but they changed the depiction of him.
Oh, the likeness. Old. A bit more quirky.
From the third onwards, he's sort of younger.
Yes.
Oh, and like Madame Pomfrey, for example.
Yeah.
Like, she's in the film, doesn't even have any lines. I really, really enjoyed that. And then when the way the films conclude, is that final scene at the train station when they're older? Is that in the book? Is that the final scene in the books as well? Loved that. I felt emotional.
A lot of people hated it.
Oh no, I think that's really. I think that's the perfect way of ending that story. Of course it is. What? Of course they're going to be taking their own children now. It's like setting up a new chapter, closing theirs. It's such a full 360. I really liked. Do you like it?
I don't. The scene. The moment in the books I don't dislike. I think the scene in the film with the aging doesn't
it's
work
not as
that
bad as
doesn't
people
work
remember,
that
honestly.
badly. Yeah.
It's genuinely not as bad as people remember.
But the beat of it, dropping off at platform 9 3/4, 100%. Yeah, I really love that.
I was
Of course,
expecting the de-aging to be wonkier, and it's not.
Yeah,
It's not too
fine.
bad.
Okay.
Honestly.
And then a little nod to Draco dropping off his son. Yeah. Of course, there isn't the end. They did do The Cursed Child, which I was bitterly disappointed at. I don't really recommend it to go and see it. It's a lot.
I've not engaged, obviously.
Yeah.
But anyway, that was my summary and a run through. And obviously, you've already, as you can tell from James's answers, a more knowledgeable, articulate scholar of the Harry Potter lore. I'm merely a tourist who's come in and stumbled in and enjoyed myself. But I look forward to the series.
And if you love it, there is so much to enjoy from the Stephen Fry audiobooks.
Yes.
They are truly some of the best listening storytelling you can do. Stephen Fry can do no wrong, and it's almost never feels like Stephen Fry, which is the greatest compliment because he does every single character brilliantly.
And Stephen Fry, who is also on Celebrity Traitors, how old?
Oh,
well, he's on it at the time of recording. He might have changed, but
61,
68.
Oh, okay, he looks all right. He's doing well, Stephen Fry. We saw him at the Newport Beach Film Festival give a closing talk, and I was like, God, that's why he's Stephen Fry. Yeah. We also had that with Gordon Ramsay recently.
Yes,
I
Gordon,
saw him.
professional.
It's fucking hard, and I've been there. Yeah, and
very good speech, you have.
And I was really impressed with how he spoke, and I was like, that's why you're Gordon Ramsay.
Yeah,
you're more than just a chef. You're an artist.
He spoke freely without saying at all, just professionally.
Clear. The sentence rose and then came down. You knew when to react to him.
It's like it's his job, isn't it?
Yeah.
That's what you realise. Yeah. Like, these people do this stuff not through a chance.
And it didn't feel like he'd written it down. He just really sort of spoke from the heart. And that's what this series is so important. I've been there every single time. There's a Gordon for you. I have loads of thoughts on Harry Potter, but for another time, for another run through of the Harry Potter films. We'll, of course, be covering the HBO show when it eventually does land.
Hey, that picture of Dumbledore on the beach they showed with John Lithgow, I was like, oh yeah, I'm really into that now.
Yeah. Give me moments I didn't get in the books. That's the key. Do the bits we didn't do in the books, but give me something I haven't seen before. I've said it a million times on Double Take, but that's my takeaway. That I think will be the success of the show. Nobody here is held in suspense over what's going to happen. That's fine for a limited series. You're like Fargo, right? Do not do 10 years of a TV show.
But we know what happens.
Well, we know what happens. I'll just be sat there. Everyone will be sat there with their arms crossed going, that's different. I don't like that actor. Why did they change that? I don't like this. Compare. Give me something to talk about. Give me something I don't know. That's going to be the key to the success of that show.
If you haven't caught up with our most recent episodes of Pulp Kitchen, please do. Episode 203 was all about the new Springsteen movie. If not, catch you at the next episode, 204.
And if this episode gets brighter and darker every 6 to 10 minutes, if you're watching, it's because the sun is coming in and out, and we use natural light to light the podcast, like a Joachim Trier movie.
Or a Chloe Zhao movie.
Yeah.
Thanks, guys. Thanks to our producers, Finn and Dave and Loz as well. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.